For years now, I've been watching him play Spore, or as we've come to call it, Alien Sims. I don't exactly play Spore on date night, but instead end up designing a ton of creatures for him. I don't have any complaints about it, because to me, that's a game in and of itself. But I'm not entirely sure leaving our creations in his hands is what's best. Now, I'm not saying I'd make a better choice for controller than him, but I've been around The Sims long enough to know that playing God sort of suits me. This game and him go way back, and it's one of those ones we probably wouldn't bother with if he didn't have nostalgia for it. I can't really explain why, but some nights all we want to do is help some goofy alien be the first of his graduating class to take to the stars. To me, Spore feels like 5 different games packed into one, with some being more fun than others. I have a bias towards the ones where we get to design stuff, so those tend to be the ones we play the most. I've never gotten too invested in the how or why of Spore, but instead just sort of whimsically let him take the reins. I pretty much live by the law that whenever an egg gets laid, it's my turn to sit at the keyboard. Woo! My turn to play! Watching him play our species is usually a dramatic story of love and conquest with alliance and betrayal. Millions of years of evolution are packed into one single evening. One minute, I'm making a single-cell organism look as much like a bumblebee as I can, and the next, it's threatening to declare war on the entire world.
And so, we shall go to war!
Watching our little critter grow up always has me feeling all sentimental. I can't explain how or why, but my maternal instincts kick in when this little amoeboid starts swimming around in circles. I swear it has something to do with how cute it sounds. I start asking him to take screenshots of all the accomplishments like I'm a mom who brings snacks to soccer practice. He gets a little apprehensive about it because aside from being batshit insane, he's worried I might take up scrapbooking again.
Oh, and your scrapbook instincts are really good. I mean, this is a little rough, but you have a lot of talent here.
The creature stage of the game is my favorite, which mostly is due to it being where our most elaborate creations get made. Ironically, it's also kind of that awkward teenage stage for our alien. Before earning more DNA and finding new parts, our creature is a little limited in what we can do with it, so it goes through a couple of awkward yearbook photos. Even though it's miserable, for us it's a total blast. Whee! He gets to run around harvesting bone piles like he's playing Monster Hunter World, and I get to redesign the creature every time he dies.
Bone? Okay, well, this is the end for our creature turn.
Oh my god! This is so gruesome!
Yep.
Oh!
Brutal.
Nothing pains my heart more than sitting down for half an hour trying to make a really beautiful animal and then watching him haphazardly slap some feathers or a spike on it somewhere just because it gives a higher attack stat or something. Would it kill him to have some respect for the artist? I always try to make them look as anatomically correct as possible, but his inner child likes to take over and decks out the monsters with ears for eyes and feet that don't match. Even for a game this goofy, min-maxing finds a way to seep in. Apparently all his additions are in the name for making us better hunters, but all I'm seeing is an anatomical mess limping around the planet. Has he ever even seen what a predator looks like? Because I can tell you, they do not run like that. What the hell?
Look at how majestic it is.
When he's in charge of designing things, it's kind of hit or miss. I'll be on board with what he's making and just be like, that's cute, only moments before he goes and maxes the size of its head or makes it obscenely tall. These are all good reasons to just keep the creature creator under lock and key and leave all the evolution in my hands. Oh my god.
Look how happy he is.
When I'm calling the shots, things change from survival of the fittest to survival of the cutest. He may pour our DNA points into the combat tab, but I invest everything into the social tab. On my watch, these apex predators go from hunting other species to dancing and playing the maracas. Woo! They're giving us 10s! I like our creature to be well-rounded, so it's not a big deal if he wants to hunt the occasional nest for food. But if they're cute, then he's not allowed to make them go extinct. By the end of the evolutionary stage, we usually try to settle somewhere in the middle and earn a blue card so the creature has a little bit of both of us in its history.
What a beautiful child. Prominent forehead, short arms, tiny nose. You will lead millions.
I think now is as good a time as any to mention that Spore has got a little more than a healthy dose of jank, and it's hard to defend at times. As far as the good, the bad, and the ugly go, I'd say the worst we've dealt with is the game crashing. There's no auto-saving, so it's up to you to save often and frequently. My boyfriend just can't help but press his luck, and he loves to skip saving just to mess with me. It's all fun and games till the game crashes and we're back to floating around, whacking our flagella in the cell stage.
save game.
Yes.
We have literally not saved the game since we started playing. Like, if the game had crashed, we would have had to start completely from scratch.
Nick! As much as I want to be critical of it, a lot of the fun we have comes from the game being clunky and tripping over itself every few minutes.
What the hell? Apparently I can't get up this hill.
I'll be laughing at how ridiculous our creature looks, and before I even have time to catch my breath, it takes its first steps and I'm back to wheezing. I don't know if it's the creature or the creator to blame, but most games where I watch him play, I feel like he always makes it look easy. Spore is a totally different story. For one thing, he maneuvers his creature less like it's a character he's playing and more like he's just trying to park it in a compact spot at Costco. He makes an 8-point turn just trying to eat a piece of fruit from a tree. It cracks me up how everything just looks so laborious, and it gives me some good insight into how I probably look when he's watching me play virtually anything else.
Okay, I think we're gonna just stick to clicking on things.
If it were up to me, we'd never leave the creature stage, but man had to discover fire eventually. Once we get into the RTS stages of evolution, the creatures look more or less how they will for the rest of the game. This is when I get a little indecisive, because if there's something I don't like about them, I'm pretty much stuck looking at their ugly mug till the end of time. I like them. Fortunately for me, the game isn't over, as there's plenty of other things to make, like buildings, cars, planes, and boats. Hey Nick, come look what I made. Things always feel like they go way too quickly in the later stages. The game starts looking like it was made by Sid Meier, and I guess we have to fight opposing members of our own species, which is a little confusing. This type of thing makes me wish Spore had some kind of multiplayer, because I'd beat him the same way I do in Civ. Unlike actual Civilization, Spore Civ lasts about 5 minutes if you know what you're doing. It's a shame, because if I had the patience for it, I'd probably win every time, but there's a reason we haven't finished a game of Civ in who knows how long.
Rematch.
All right. Hell, it's after midnight.
Rematch.
Set up the board.
By the time we make it into space, we're more or less ready to put a lid on our critter. If we're feeling daring, then we'll fly around for a few minutes till we get to the center of the universe, and then call it a night. Although we've seen the cutscene enough times that we don't even bother making the journey these days. It's always a little awkward when we run into one of our past creations. It's just like, oh, it's nice to see you. So, how have you been? You look good. Oh my god, Bumbo drowned! While it is true that the space stage is the longest run in the game, there's not a whole heck of a lot to do. Starting trade routes and abducting pets is fun for a while, but the novelty eventually wears off, and the time spent terraforming new planets just doesn't appeal to us the same way as the earlier stages. Our creature is an adult now, and it's time for us to let him go off into the galaxy and be his own person. Maybe we'll visit him again someday when we get the itch to play more Darwin game. It mostly just depends on if he remembers to save or not.